I am going to go through the GLP-1 agonist, which is a hot topic for a lot of stock. So yeah, it's a pretty wild market cap. There's never been a drug company this valuable ever. So the 10K came out, just a couple days ago. So the 10K is the annual report for any of you noobs out there. And they had 950 million shares outstanding. So yeah, 725 billion. There really aren't that many companies worth 725 billion, period, right? So there's just a couple of the big tech companies we know, like Apple and Microsoft, I think Amazon and Google, and then maybe Meta. That's really it. So Lilly's really done amazingly well, and we're going to look into why. It all kind of has to deal with GLP-1s, which are sometimes called incretins. We'll actually look into the science of GLP-1s a little bit. This is going to be a pretty long video, probably about 3 hours. So what is GLP-1? Well, glucagon-like peptide is an important molecule that you probably know of it because Ozempic is a GLP-1 agonist. So GLP-1 has a receptor, and to stimulate that receptor, which is what an agonist does, you have to make a molecule that will interact with that receptor. By doing that, various physiological results can be achieved. Principally weight loss is the biggest one. So I'm just going to jot down a couple of things here. Mazdutide looks like another obesity drug Lilly's going to come out with. And it looks like they have an antibody too, even. Bimagrumab. That actually sounds familiar. I just don't remember where it's from. And then here's yet another obesity drug. It's funny that obesity has finally become a decent market. I remember talking with 𝗕𝗢𝗙𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗧 about this many years ago. And it just is never a decent market. Lilly even has a new insulin, which is kind of neat. And it's interesting, Lilly's pipeline kind of sucks for a 700 billion market cap, the largest market cap of all time in pharma. That's actually pretty big market cap. I would venture to say that the entire biotech market combined isn't worth the market cap of Eli Lilly, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. So here's the balance sheet. This is what I was looking for. I think anybody with more than 1 or 2 screens is out of their mind. I have it because I have a laptop here, but 2 screens is okay. I think more than that is a little... I just have to have a separate screen for pictures of your mom. So anyway, as we go through this balance sheet, so you can see it's like a very asset-light company. They have $12.9 billion of property, plant, and equipment, but the business is worth $700 or $800 billion now. In 2024, that's really not uncommon. Most businesses are intellectual property these days and not really too heavy on property, plant, and equipment. They actually have a bit of debt, but they'll be delevering very quickly, I would think. They actually have a lot of debt, if you think about it. About a year's worth of debt. Kind of a way to look at it. I do think Vivek is the real deal. He's a really smart guy. His partisanship is kind of interesting. You know, I think a lot of people on Wall Street didn't expect that. People who've known him for a long time, but God bless him, you know, I mean, that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do, right? Like, who are we to judge him? I think some very rich people, and Vivek counts, they get bored and they want to do something else. And he got, I think, bored with pharma and business and said, let me try a different domain of life. You know, some people go through life and they barely sample it, and some people go through life and they get a rich sampling of everything life has to offer. And Vivek was that kind of guy. We don't have to go through the rest of this, actually. I just wanted to get a quick sense for the balance sheet of Eli Lilly. Really doesn't make much of a difference given their market cap is so large. Nothing on the balance sheet's really going to change the fate of the company now, is it? But I still always like to know what I'm dealing with. And this is kind of a little bit old. So $6 billion in cash, $25 billion of debt, and so the enterprise value is $745 billion. Now, what's really interesting about Lilly is last quarter, I'll zoom in for you guys here. Hopefully you can see it if you can't see it. So Trulicity was their old GLP-1. In fact, we're going to make maybe a sheet. Maybe I didn't make these sheets by accident. Let's try this. GLP-1s. But the first GLP-1, does anybody know? Some good trivia here. And then what was next? Was it Victoza? I want to say it was Victoza. I could be wrong. Maybe Byetta LAR, and then Saxenda. Then it was semaglutide, right? And semaglutide is Rybelsus and Ozempic. And then finally Mounjaro and Zepbound. Well, actually, Trulicity came out somewhere in between there. So HBD. What's HBD? Bydureon wasn't that Byetta LAR? Yeah, Bydureon. I'm still thinking of it as the old name. I started a software company. GLP-1 is glucagon-like peptide. We're going to go through it. Yeah, Lilly does look a little overvalued, but the funny thing about investing is you don't always know until you kind of do a little bit of a deep dive. So I think we should probably, let me see here. Wegovy's in there too, right? Wegovy is here. All right, so let's see here. So I'm going to go to clinicaltrials.gov, and then I'm also maybe going to go to PubMed. And let me see if I can do GLP-1. And how should I do this? Best match? No, most recent. Another place to go is USPTO. Probably check out that. Let's see if we can't get some GLP-1s from here. And let's look for, there's a lot of results here, so let's just go for phase 3, interventional, and maybe industry. And then the study started, let's say, in the last couple years. Oops. All right, so here's a drug in China. There's another drug in China. There's the old tirzepatide from Lilly, semaglutide, same Chinese drug, new Chinese drug, semaglutide. This gut bark fiber, I don't know. This is an Eli Lilly drug. We should probably look at that. Let's see, what is this? We jotted it down earlier. This is a different kind of insulin. It's a new kind of insulin. Okay, so it's got an FC region, so it's a fusion protein with an FC fragment. So once weekly basal insulin. Now there are other long-acting insulins, but that's not going to be our focus today. We're thinking about GLP-1s. Is that it? 10 results, that's it? Okay, maybe let's loosen this up a little bit. Oh, we know Pfizer is working on GLP-1s, and we know that Amgen is working on GLP-1s, right? So there's a couple of other ways to do this if we can't get it through clinicaltrials.gov. Let's at least fill these out. Let's see. So Mounjaro is tirzepatide, right? Zepbound is tirzepatide. This is dulaglutide, right? Okay. And Ozempic is semaglutide, if I'm not mistaken. As is Rybelsus. I think this is liraglutide. This is exenatide. This is lira, and exenatide. These are approval dates, and we'll say this is the company. I think I got all those right. I could be wrong, though. Let's look at some more GLPs that are maybe coming out in clinical development. There's one new one. 𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 no, this is doesn't look like this is being developed anymore. Let's see. The GLP-1s for Parkinson's have kind of gone by the wayside. All right, so there's another one, 𝗪𝗠𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗧 Okay, so here's another one. This is from Lilly. We jotted it down earlier. Orforglipron. And this is a small molecule, I'm guessing. So this would be a pill. A pill Ozempic. Can you believe it? Every girl in New York City will be on it. So these incretins, glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide, and the older, more classic, well-known GLP-1 glucagon-like peptide. It turns out they matter quite a bit. We might all be taking these drugs at some point. Every person on the planet will be on one of these medicines. I mean, I'm gaining weight, and I'd like to be able to eat whatever I want. Like, I'd eat chocolate cake all day if I could. Okay, there's one. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Kind of cool, huh? 2 plus 2 minus 4. 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1. That's 3. Quick maths. Okay, I think this is the Amgen drug. The person doing this as a job would be called an investment analyst. Oh, no, this is a Lilly drug? Or did they kill this thing? GLP-1s don't have a bad side effect profile? What are you, crazy? If GLP-1s had a bad side effect profile, nobody would take them. And people can't get enough of them. I mean, there's a little nausea and vomiting, but, you know, you want to lose weight, you're going to have to do, go through a little nausea and vomiting, all right? Gastroparesis, I think, is somewhat well-known side effect here. 𝗟𝗏𝗏𝗏, that was taken off the market, I believe. I actually wanted to buy that drug a long time ago. And yeah, I was going to raise the price on it, so what? JK. Sometimes you got to lower prices, too. In software, I like to lower prices. But in pharma, I like to raise them. I don't care what y'all think. Protac. I don't know if anybody made a GLP-1 Protac yet. It wouldn't be such a bad idea if you can get binding. Pretty sure you can get binding. So yeah, I would just take GLP-1 and ligate it to a Protac, and you can degrade Protac receptors, and then you'd have permanent weight loss. Be pretty sick. Here's VK2735. 𝗥𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, thank you. It's Exendin 4 IgGF4FC, similar to Trulicity, I guess. Healthy people do take GLP-1s. That's kind of the problem. I like Bill Gates, yeah. I think any of you weirdos that don't like Bill Gates because he's a Illuminati or something, you're reading too much into conspiracy theories. You need to touch some grass. Bill Gates is just a nerd like the rest of us. Don't worry. It's not going to kill you. It looks like not seeing any new tides. Although we're not looking that hard. Now I'm going to show you another database to look through. Okay, that was that. Let's go to uspto.gov. The problem with PTO is they changed their site, so it sucks now. That's problem number one. I think Google has Google patents, but I'm not sure theirs is a lot better. Yeah, this is pretty cringe. Okay, there are some patents here. Is not GLP. This is a Pfizer GLP-1s. Chinese product. There's Viking. I know Brian. I was a IPO investor of Viking. My friends at Ligand helped start that company. Pep2 Tango Therapeutics, Inc. odd company name. I know there's Tango Therapeutics, but I don't think this is them. Are there GLP-1 agonists that cause adverse reaction alcoholics? I thought I knew a lot about GLP-1s. I've been following them for 24 years. Very, very weird name. But, you know, I don't know everything. We tried clinical trials of PubMed and USPTO, and we're just looking for GLP-1 drugs. Looks like Bayer, maybe? I don't think so. I remember when 𝗥𝗍𝗓𝗘 was approved. Everyone thought it was going to not sell that well. It ended up selling a little better than people thought. Very interesting situation. All right, getting back to the model. Trulicity. Since 2014, first year was 249. I wonder if we should do this as well. What I can do is I can copy this, and I can paste it in here. These drugs, and they largely have all the same properties. Mounjaro's first quarters. Think about it. Look at how crazy that is, right? These drugs are fairly similar. You know, Mounjaro is more powerful than Trulicity. They're fairly similar. Just look at this launch. There's really never been a pharmaceutical launch this good. Maybe ever. Which is really insane. And then Zepbound is the literally brand new, but maybe Zepbound's first full quarter. I don't know. I think I could do the Excel Olympics, but I'm sort of in this going to be in the celebrity section. Well, you could always license your products to the US, right? What's up, Flanagan? My software expertise is not as good as my biopharma expertise, but it's getting there pretty rapidly. All right, so we're going to have to look at Novo Nordisk in a second, but just look at this launch. It's like kind of unbelievable if you think about it. And what we can also do here is do year one. Year two. Etc. I think what you'll find is more the same, which is the revenue for Trulicity more than doubled in its second year, right? Which is kind of funny because if it more than doubles for Mounjaro, Mounjaro will do 13.8 billion. Let's see. My estimate is 11.4. They are supply constrained, interestingly. But that's kind of one way to think about, well, how do you forecast what's going to happen? Now, I don't think that's that rational, because if you think about what was happening in the early part of the GLP market building, that's what it was. It was market building. Wasn't necessarily that people didn't know about GLPs. They just wanted to use them more, maybe a little bit more than normal. So market building has to happen in that first couple years of any drug. It's just something that sort of makes sense. So let's look at pricing. I actually don't have Redbook anymore, so I'm just going to Google, and maybe we'll get an answer. $10.69 for a month. Super expensive. So what we'll do as well is we'll sort of do a total up here, and this is going to be a little tricky